We lock our doors and install alarms to keep danger out, believing that the greatest threats to our safety come from the outside world. We invest in security systems, double-check the windows, and teach our children to be wary of strangers. The idea is simple. If we can control what comes in, we can protect what matters most. Our homes are meant to be sanctuaries, places where we can let our guard down and feel truly safe. The familiar walls, the laughter echoing through the rooms, the warmth of shared meals, these are the things that make a house a home. We trust that within these walls, we are protected from the chaos of the outside world. But what if the real threat isn't lurking outside, but is instead sitting right across from you at the dinner table? What if the people you share your life with, the ones you love most, are capable of causing the deepest harm? It's a chilling thought, one that most of us would rather not consider. Yet, the statistics are hard to ignore. Studies reveal that a significant number of violent and financial crimes are committed not by strangers, but by family members, those we trust implicitly. The headlines may be shocking, but the reality is even more disturbing. Betrayal often comes from within, hidden behind familiar faces and everyday routines. Husbands, wives, children, the very people meant to protect and support us, sometimes become the source of our deepest wounds. Arguments escalate, trust is broken, and the bonds that once held a family together can unravel in an instant. The pain of betrayal by a loved one cuts deeper than any wound inflicted by a stranger. The very idea of safety is turned upside down. The place you feel most secure, your own home, can become the setting for your greatest fears. The shadows in the hallway, the silence after an argument, the sense that something isn't quite right, these are the warning signs that danger may be closer than you think. This isn't about fear-mongering or painting families in a negative light, it's about facing a difficult truth. Family bonds, as strong as they may seem, can be twisted by greed, jealousy, desperation, or unresolved pain. The people we love most are also the ones who have the power to hurt us the most. The stories you're about to hear aren't works of fiction or cautionary tales, they happen to real people in real homes who discovered that their trust was built on a foundation of lies. These are stories of heartbreak, of families torn apart, and of the struggle to rebuild after betrayal. So how does love turn into betrayal? How do the people we trust most become the source of our greatest pain? As we walk through these stories together, let's try to understand the unthinkable, and perhaps learn how to protect ourselves not just from the dangers outside but from the unseen dangers within. Eleanor's family seemed perfect, gathering for holidays, sharing smiles, and filling their home with laughter. To outsiders, they were the picture of harmony, a close-knit clan whose bonds appeared unbreakable. Every year the family traditions brought them together, reinforcing the sense of unity that Eleanor cherished above all else. She was the matriarch, the heart of the family, and her children were her pride and joy. But beneath the surface, her youngest son Michael was drowning in debt and saw his mother's fortune as his escape. The weight of his financial troubles pressed on him day and night, making every family gathering a painful reminder of what he didn't have. Michael's desperation grew as creditors called and bills piled up, and he began to see Eleanor's wealth not as a legacy, but as his only way out. Resentment grew, and he convinced himself he deserved it more than his siblings. He watched them with envy, believing they had always been favored, always had it easier. The more he dwelled on his misfortunes, the more he justified his dark thoughts. In his mind, taking what he wanted was only fair, a way to balance the scales after years of feeling overlooked. Michael began a slow, undetectable poisoning, all while playing the devoted son. He masked his intentions behind acts of kindness, preparing Eleanor's tea and tending to her needs. No one suspected a thing. His siblings saw only a caring son, devoted to their aging mother. But each cup he served brought Eleanor closer to the brink, her health fading in ways no one could explain. Eleanor's decline was blamed on age, and Michael gained control over her life and finances. As she grew weaker, he took charge of her affairs, making decisions on her behalf. The family trusted him, grateful for his apparent selflessness. But behind closed doors, Michael was orchestrating every detail, ensuring that when the time came, he would inherit everything. Only after her death did a coroner's suspicion reveal the truth. Eleanor had been poisoned. The symptoms that had seemed like the natural course of aging were, in fact, the result of a calculated plan. Toxicology reports confirmed what no one wanted to believe. Her death was not an accident, but a crime. The investigation pointed to Michael, the one always by her side. Detectives pieced together the evidence, uncovering a trail of deceit and manipulation. Michael's facade crumbled as the truth emerged, and the family was forced to confront the unimaginable, that the person they trusted most had betrayed them in the worst possible way. The family was shattered, not just by the loss, but by the realization that the betrayal came from within. Grief was compounded by disbelief, and the bonds that once held them together were now strained by suspicion and sorrow. The home that had been filled with laughter was now silent, haunted by the memory of what had been lost. It was never just about money, it was about trust, destroyed by someone they loved. The poisoned inheritance left scars that would never fully heal, a reminder that sometimes the greatest dangers come not from strangers, but from those closest to us. David and Mark were more than just brothers. They were best friends, confidants, and each other's greatest supporters. From childhood, they shared everything, secrets, dreams, and a vision for the future. Their bond was forged in the fires of family hardship, and together they promised to rise above it all. As adults, they became business partners, pouring their hearts and souls into building a company from the ground up. Every late night, every risk, every small victory, they faced it side by side, believing that together, they were unstoppable. Their company was more than a business. It was a testament to their shared ambition and trust. But beneath the surface, Mark was fighting a private battle. He hid a growing gambling addiction, one that gnawed at him relentlessly. Desperate to keep his secret, he began siphoning money from their business, convinced he could win it back and fix everything before anyone noticed. Each bet was a silent plea for salvation, but the losses only mounted. What started as small, seemingly harmless borrowings soon spiraled out of control. Mark created false invoices, manipulated accounts, and buried the evidence under mountains of paperwork. The deception grew, becoming a tangled web that was harder to escape with every passing day. The truth began to unravel when unpaid bills started piling up, and the company's accounts were suddenly empty. Employees grew anxious, suppliers demanded answers, and the once thriving business teetered on the brink of collapse. The foundation they had built together was crumbling. David, confused and desperate, confronted Mark, hoping for a simple explanation, a mistake, a misunderstanding. But instead, Mark broke down and confessed, revealing the full extent of his betrayal. In that moment, years of trust shattered, and the bond between brothers was destroyed. The business collapsed almost overnight. Loyal employees lost their jobs, families were uprooted, and David was left with nothing, not just financially, but emotionally. The loss of his brother's trust cut deeper than any financial wound. The financial devastation was overwhelming, but the emotional pain was far worse. David struggled to understand how the person he loved most could betray him so completely. The sense of loss was profound, echoing through every aspect of his life. Decades of trust, built over a lifetime, were obliterated in an instant. The family was torn apart, and the memories they once cherished became painful reminders of what was lost. The ruin wasn't just financial, it was the loss of family, of shared dreams, and of faith in each other. The echoes of betrayal lingered long after the dust settled, leaving both men to walk separate paths, haunted by regret. Some betrayals leave scars that never heal, serving as a painful reminder that even the strongest bonds can be broken in a moment of weakness. Imagine turning 18, ready for college, only to find your credit ruined by debts you never incurred. For some, the culprit is a parent, committing familial identity theft out of desperation. Using their child's social security number, they rack up debt, leaving the child's future in ruins. Sarah's story is one of many. Her mother used her identity for years, leaving her with tens of thousands in debt. The shock is twofold: financial devastation, and the realization that your own parent betrayed you. Filing a police report means sending your parent to jail. Not filing means living with the consequences. It's a choice no child should have to make. The deepest wound isn't financial, it's the betrayal of trust. A crime from a stranger hurts, but a crime from family devastates. Family is supposed to be our foundation, our first teachers, protectors, and supporters. We trust them by default, building our sense of self on that trust. When a family member betrays us, it shatters our understanding of love and safety. Every memory, every kindness is called into question. The pain isn't just about what was done, but who did it. That's why family betrayal leaves wounds that last a lifetime. It's easy to call family betrayers monsters, but often their path is a slow slide, driven by desperation, envy, or a need for control. Financial stress, addiction, or long-held resentments can warp judgment. They justify their actions. "I'll pay it back," or "I deserve this." Sometimes it's about evening the score or claiming what they feel was always theirs. Others seek power, manipulating family as if they're pieces on a chessboard. The motivations are complex, but the result is the same: trust destroyed. These betrayals aren't always sudden. They're often the end of a long, tragic journey. Understanding the why doesn't excuse the harm, but it reveals the human frailty behind the crime. After the crime, chaos reigns: police, lawyers, family divisions. But the real aftermath is internal. Victims lose trust, not just in the betrayer, but in everyone. They become guarded, relationships suffer, and the ability to feel safe is poisoned. There's grief for the person you thought you knew, and for the family you believed in. Self-blame creeps in. How did I not see it? Healing means learning to trust yourself again, a long, difficult road. The scars may fade, but they never truly disappear. Can families recover from betrayal? Sometimes, but not always. For some, healing means cutting ties completely, a necessary act of self-preservation. For others, rebuilding requires true remorse, accountability, and often professional help. The old relationship is gone. Any new bond must be built on honesty and realistic expectations. Reconciliation is fragile and rare, but possible. Sometimes, a new relationship emerges, marked by scars, but also by resilience. Yet for many, the break is permanent, a reminder that some wounds never fully heal. We've seen how family trust can be shattered in an instant, leaving lives in ruins. These stories remind us that trust is precious and fragile, especially within families. It's built over years but can be destroyed in a moment. Cherish and protect the trust you have, never take it for granted. In the end, trust is our anchor in the storm. So, what does trust mean to you? And how will you protect it in your own life?